Hi everyone, welcome. Today is Monday. It's the 3rd of July, and I decided this morning I was gonna pick up one of my whips that would help me reach all three of my acrostics. So I pulled out spring at Hawk Run Hollow, and this is being used to represent an H in both the magazine monthly challenge group and the 24 hours of cross stitch. It's H in the word hippopotamus and H in the word offhand. And then in my daily 30 group, that word is recreation, and I'm using this for the R in recreation, and that's from the word run in the title. So because this is in my daily 30 group, I had to do at least 300 stitches, and today I did 340 stitches. So here's where I got to today. When I picked this up, I had done this first word. So today I did all the lettering here. I did this motif and I did this motif. I have a white center to put in these three, but I'm going to wait now that I've done all of them, and I'll stitch them next time because I already had 340 stitches. So now what's left, I've done this through the middle. There's one more motif here, but it kind of goes into both sections, and I have this big flower, a butterfly, some little motifs, and I'll finish that block. Now, my guild journey piece this year is Hawk Run Hollow, and I'm to stitch 2 squares in it. And the one you're seeing now is the first of the 2. So this is my first square. And I thought that was going to be a real easy stitch. I just haven't put enough time in it. But look at what the second one is. And we have to finish it by October. So I don't know if I'm going to make it this year, but I'll still try. Anyway, I was glad to get the center section of that one done. I felt like that was good progress. So I'm looking at it because I sat it right over here leaning up on my floor stand. So that's my stitching for right now. We are planning here at the house, we are planning to go tomorrow with our son to see the new Indiana Jones movie. And other than that, we had fireworks last night. We have neighbors who do fireworks every year, and they have family members and friends of their children, grown children, who love to buy fireworks, and they save up all year for it. And it is a huge show. It is really, really nice. It looks very professional, and it goes for quite a while. And so it's very popular in our neighborhood, very, very popular. So last night they decided to do the fireworks on Sunday night because the rain was supposed to stop in time. And a lot of these people that were visiting had to travel back home, and they were going to be traveling today. So they chose Sunday night, which means there'll probably be other groups that do fireworks either tonight or tomorrow night, so we'll probably have more. But lucky for us, Coco doesn't mind fireworks at all. They don't bother her at all. She'll sit right there and watch them with you. What bothers her are the people. So last year I didn't get to go. We had friends here visiting, and the wife of this couple has some balance issues, and she did not want to be trying to walk down our steep driveway and up the street and stand in a field where she felt that things could be, uneven at night where she couldn't see because she was afraid she'd fall. So she and I stayed on the porch, and we sat on our front porch and watched fireworks while Tommy and her husband went over to the empty lot where you can really see it. So this was my first year of getting to see the for real fireworks. And Tommy and I walked out, and JT said he was gonna put his shoes on and he'd be right behind us. We took Coco and we headed across the street to the empty field. And there were already 2 or 3 carloads of people there who'd gotten their chairs out and were sitting there. And one of our neighbors was there with she and her husband and their 2 little boys. They are so cute. And they wanted to pet Coco so bad. So anyway, I think Tommy finally got her to allow them to feed her a treat, which tickled both of them to death. Our son got out there and she was going from my husband to me to my son back and forth the whole evening. But mostly she sat with my husband. And one of the young families that were out there, there was they had a daughter who's probably in her 20s, and her boyfriend had come up from Florida with a bunch of his buddies, so they had a whole house full of company. They came for the fireworks, and they were about my son's age, and they struck up a conversation. And the young man from Florida, one of the young men, he was just determined he wanted to pet Coco. He said she's the prettiest dog he'd ever seen. And finally, JT was able to hold Coco with her leash and pet her and love on her, and I was loving on her, and she felt comfortable enough that we let this gentleman reach under her chin and scratch her chin, and she tolerated it. She didn't particularly want it, but she tolerated it, and he was thrilled. It made his day to get to touch her, which was really sweet. But anyway, then we came home. Well, we walked in the door. Coco made a beeline for her ottoman that she likes to lay on, and she just collapsed on it, and I could hear her over there just sighing, just like she couldn't believe we put her through all that. It was funny. So anyway, fireworks don't bother her, but people do. She's so shy. She doesn't like all these people trying to touch her. But it's good for her. It's good for her. We hope that someday she'll be so much more relaxed, that when we tell her that someone's okay, that she'll let them touch her. It takes her a little while, to warm up, but that's okay. Well, I hope you're having a great weekend, whether you're celebrating or not. I still hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you're getting a lot of stitching done. And I am going to pick my next project, I think, and see if I can put a few stitches in this evening. So happy stitching, everybody. Hello everyone, I'm back. I just wanted to share with you a little more stitching that I was able to get done today. I think the fireworks are over. We had a whole big firework display again tonight, different neighbors. So my husband took Coco back out and they watched them all again. I decided to stay in and stitch this time. So tonight I was working on a prompt. No big surprise, right? But this time I was working on a prompt that was in the Daily 30 group, and it was a challenge, and it was to stitch on something that had water in a liquid form and in the picture itself. And so I picked my By the Bay. This is my 13th colony By the Bay, 13th Colony Bay, Part 2. So this is matched up to my other piece, and I'm just stitching on across here. And the last time I worked on it, I did this tree trunk right here. This time when I worked on it, I decided to work on a separate part of it. And I did the bottom. So I started on the other side of the tree trunk and did the green fern-looking plants. I did the shoreline, the bottom, I did the 2 green bushes, which are over there, and the other piece as well. And I'm excited to tell you that this part right here, that is the end of the chart for part 2. So this is how much more I have to stitch, but it goes all the way up because we've got big trees in this one. Anyway, today I stitched a prompt that needed a minimum of 300 stitches, and I stitched 344. I did that 44 stitches just finishing up. This over here ran me over quite a bit, and so that was okay though, because that was the little goal I decided I wanted to hit before. So this is the whole thing so far. I'm thinking that part 2 may be a little narrower than part 1, but I think there's a whole lot more in the upper sky with those 2 big trees. But either way, I was really happy to hit the prompt. It was only for that one prompt. It didn't help me with anything else. So that's okay. I wanted to finish it up. I want to finish it up before Friday because a new one will come out Friday. Technically, we have 2 weeks to finish it. It overlaps a week, and I just try really hard to get the first one done in the very first week, so I don't feel like I've got, things I want to work on hanging over my head. But anyway, that was fun. I enjoyed it, and 344 stitches later, I'm putting it away for this time, and then tomorrow I'll pick up something else. I don't know what I'm gonna start tomorrow, work on tomorrow. I'll let you know when I figure that out. We have a busy day tomorrow. My son and I are gonna be doing some slow cooking of ribs and all the trimmings for lunch while my husband runs the Peachtree Road Race. And then right after lunch, not long after lunch, we're going to the movies. We're going to see the Indiana Jones movie and then head back home. So probably we'll hang out the rest of the evening until the fireworks start up again. We may go back out and watch those again. I don't know if another neighbor decides to do fireworks. I think living near a lake, these people are shooting the fireworks off their dock over the water, and that's a pretty safe way to do it. So it's been kind of fun watching that. So I'll let you know what happens. In the meantime, I hope you're having a great holiday weekend, a long weekend. I hope you have a long weekend. And whatever you're stitching on, I hope you're loving it. Oh, happy stitching, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Well, happy July 4th for all of you that celebrate. It is the morning of July 4th. Barely. It is 11:55 a.m. I have been stitching this morning. My son and I put some ribs on to bake slow in the oven this morning. And so I haven't had to do anything else until now. So I got to stitch. So I looked at my prompts, I looked at my acrostics, I looked at my calendar this morning trying to decide what I wanted to stitch on, and I just wanted to stitch everything. It was really hard to make a decision today, but I decided that I would stitch on something that I knew required at least 300 stitches. So I wanted to do one of my acrostics from Recreation, and when I saw this one on the list, I thought, yep, that's the one I want to do. I've enjoyed it. I want to get back to it, and it'll be easy to stitch on this morning. It's on 16 count Aida. I bought this as a kit, and it was a little bit pricey if I got Lugana or linen, so I thought, I like the Aida color that they showed. It's called Steinbeck. So you'll recognize this as a sampler for all seasons by the Scarlett House. And last when you saw it, I had completed this little block right here. And I was ready to move forward. So today, that's exactly what I did. I stitched 356 stitches for a needed 300. And I did all the lettering on that page. In fact, the final word, the T on the T on at, and the D on, well, actually the N in the word when, was at the page break. So I went ahead and pulled the second page out so I could finish the word, because it'll be much easier to start on it next time. But rather than go just all the way across the top, I decided to do it like a page, like I was trying to finish a page. And now the only part of that page I have left is a little vine that goes in here. Isn't that awesome? So I may come back next time and stitch that vine and then move my Q-snap over and do the next page. But I'm thinking about taking this on retreat with me, either the first retreat to New Jersey or the second retreat to Alabama, because I can do border. That's easy retreat stitching. So I'm thinking of that. I may take it with me. Who knows? But 356 stitches, and I got all the lettering done on that page. So I'm very happy about that. I think it went well. And now I'm going to go downstairs and start the potatoes for my lunch. We've got roasted corn, and we're going to have some interesting baked potatoes that my son's going to cut in a special way and put butter on the inside. Some fancy thing he's going to do. And then I'm going to fix the black-eyed peas. So we're just going to have a down-home kind of meal and then go see the movie. So I am planning on having a lovely afternoon at the movies. And if we decide to come home and play games or anything like that, I'll be ready for that. But anyway, I'm going to put my floss away. I have them on floss drops. And I'm going to put those back away and put this up in my stack that I am making for potential retreat stitching patterns that are going to go with me. So this will be one of them in my consideration pile. Well, enjoy your stitching. If I get to stitch any more this evening, I will come back and let you know what I got accomplished. But if not, happy stitching till we talk again. Bye. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is July 5th, and all the festivities are over. Our son had to go back to work this morning, and fortunately, my husband is able to sleep a little bit later today since his big run yesterday, and I am upstairs trying to be a little quiet, so I came up to stitch this morning. First thing I'm going to do is show you what I stitched yesterday. Because we went to the movies and then we had ice cream after the movies and hung out and talked and visited, I didn't come back up here last night and film. But right before we went out the door for the movies, I finished working on my stitching for the day, which was Pandemic. You haven't seen this one in a little while, haven't worked on it for a while. And I didn't get a whole lot of it done yesterday because I didn't have a lot of time. But I did do 228 stitches, and on a cross stick where I don't have a minimum number of stitches required, 200 is what I'm willing to do before I move on to the next one. So let me just tell you what I stitched and let you see it again. This is Pandemic. I'm on the last page on the top row. And what I did yesterday is I came on up here. I had stitched to about right here. So I did the rest of this flower and the bird, the opposing bird to this side. Came across here and did this little butterfly and the heart. And that was the 228 stitches that I got done. So I'll share that with you a little bit closer. So now that I've gotten almost the whole top row done, I have to tell you, I love my color, but I don't like how variegated it is. It is so variegated, I think it takes away from the picture. Isn't that sad? I really do think it distracts from what you can see. I've looked at a lot of your pandemics as you were stitching on them, and the ones that don't have quite so much variegation in them, I think you can see the pattern a little better. So anyway, this is a big commitment. I've already done this much of it. I am thinking that I'm going to look down the pattern and see if there's a good cutting off point where I may just do partial of this pattern, since I'm not as pleased with how well it's seen or can be seen. I think the lightest color in here is just too light, and unless you are like right here, unless you are really close up on it, you can't see what it is. You lose part of the pattern, your eye loses it. It's like it disappears. Tell me what you think. But I'm thinking that I may want to find a good stopping point on here and make it a smaller piece and just stitch to there and call it a day. If I was able to see it better, I would be going 90 to nothing on it. But I think that's why I've slowed down on it, is I've been disappointed with my color choice, because that lightest color of variegation just makes the picture disappear. You just can't see it. So anyway, we'll think about that. That's not a done deal. It's not a done decision. But I have a lot of beautiful stuff to stitch on, and I don't want to stitch on something that I'm not loving. Okay, I don't know what I'm going to stitch today. I haven't looked, but I just wanted to capture that, because when I edited my last video and put it up, I realized that I stitched on Halloween Quaker, and I never came back and showed it to you. You never saw the motif that I stitched. It was one motif, so it was not that big of a difference, but it was a large motif. So the next time I work on it, I'll share all that with you. It's put away. But when I was editing, I realized, I thought, wait a minute, I said I was coming back that night to show you what I stitched, and I never did. I think it was because I had company and I was distracted. I hope you'll forgive that. Anyway, happy stitching today. If I get anything else done, I'll try to remember to come back and share it with you. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome back. It is still the 5th of July. I'm here with Coco. I don't know if she'll say hey to you. Will you come up, baby? Will you come up? No, she's gonna cuddle with me right here. I just wanted to let you know I've been stitching today, and I am very, very excited to share this one with you. It's been a long, long time. Can you guess? Yeah, it's the Nativity by Teresa Wentzler. I'll remind you of what it looks like, or what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. And I had brought most of it down to the midpoint. I had some work to do on the borders, but I was trying to get the central figures done first, and I had worked really hard on those. And I had had a goal at one time to finish the angel down to the midpoint, and I did. So today when I picked it up, I thought, what do I want to do? Part of my problem with this piece is I want to stitch all of it. It's so beautiful, and I wanted to work on all of it. So I decided I would do just that. I would work on a section of it until I finished a little tiny goal, and then I would work on another section of it. And I just kept track of my stitches, because I'm using this one for all 3 acrostics, and as you know, one of them requires 300 stitches. So I knew I needed 300 stitches today, and I got 316. So I met the goal, and I'm excited about that. I think that's a good thing. So I have this one on an American Dream lap stand. This is a stand that I got years ago, and it's one of those that you have to sew or glue, get sticky back Velcro, your piece onto the rods, and then you mount it, and the stand holds it from the middle. I have been using this frame on my regular floor stand, but it is very heavy, and I don't want it to damage my floor stand. I just think the weight is a little bit too heavy. So for the first time in a long time, probably years, I pulled out my American Dream lap stand and I set it up on there, and it worked beautifully. I don't know. I think when I had it before, I didn't have my desk. I was trying to use it in my lap. It didn't work. And so, but putting it on my desk today, I could put it right on the edge of my desk and get my hands right up under it, and it worked beautifully. I'm so tickled. At one point, I had thought about just giving this this lap stand away because I didn't think I'd want to use it anymore, but I'm glad I hadn't because I really liked it today. So since it's on my stand and I don't want to take it off because I think I'm going to just leave it on there and set it over to the side, and that way maybe I'll be more likely to pick it back up more frequently. I'll just turn the camera around and I will show you what I worked on today. Well, here it is. So you may be able to tell a bit of the difference because you can see how far I've dipped below the center line now. I worked, let's just start at the top. I worked on the right hand border here. I put in the Lazy Daisies stitches that are leaves in that side border. I did the center stitches here, and they are they're diamond eyelet stitches, and you do the stitching and then you back stitch around the outer edge of each of those. I came over to the middle and I worked on Mary's head covering. I color completed 3 colors in that, down to a certain point where the colors change or shift. I just was trying to get down to about right here. And then I came back over as I was moving across, and I did a whole layer of all but one of the colors in his cloak, and then I came on down. I extended this green on down even further here. So I actually worked on the border and Mary and Joseph, which was awesome. I'm excited about that. I was trying to work toward getting Mary's head covering completed because the next big thing after getting that ready is to do her 1/1 face. I was not in a position where I was ready to do the 1/1 face today because I was getting fatigued by the time that I got to it. This chart, I've mentioned before, is hand-drawn. It's a little bit more difficult to manage as far as reading it. And it is confetti heavy. It is very confetti heavy. Their clothing and those angel wings, for instance, are amazing. And even this top border, which looks pretty heavily stitched, is not even complete. There will be metallics and there will be beads in that top border. So I'm just trying, as I work my way down now, I'm trying to get these 2 borders finished with all of the middle stitching that I need to do between everything and in everything, so that I can roll this up, because I kind of need to roll it a little bit more so I can start working on the bottom as I go across. So I felt like it was time to go ahead and try to get those borders done, other than the Kringles and the beading, which I'll do all at one time. But I'm very pleased with the progress today. Only 316 stitches. Not a lot compared to some of your full coverages that you do and that sort of thing, but I can see progress, and it made me very happy today to really be able to see progress in this beautiful piece. So I'm going to pull it back just a little bit and show you my American Dream stand. There you have it. See, I can pull it right to the edge of the desk and work right on it. Watch my floss tube as I go. It's worked out really well today. So a great day of stitching. I appreciate you letting me share it with you, and I hope you're having a fabulous day as well. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Thursday. It is July 6th, and I'm here to talk to you about my stitching as usual. It's been a quiet, lovely day. Started stitching this morning right after talking to my friend Glow, and I decided to work on something that I really wanted to get started on because I want to push it to a finish, and I wanted to make sure I worked on it this month, so I put it in 2 of my acrostics, and that is my autumn bell pull. I always have to turn it crooked so you can read it carefully. And I'm now starting the final N. Yay! So my prompt that I was stitching for required 300 stitches. And so I just stitched and stitched and stitched and stopped and counted, and I had hit 361 because I was just enjoying starting on this. So here you have it. Here is the beginning of the N. You can see the M up here where I had stopped it when I finished it, and I counted 6 spaces down, and that's where I started my N. And I also looked at the pattern up here to place the beginning of the N. I counted over where it needed to be, and now I have it situated there, and I put in 361 stitches today to get it started. So hey, my final letter in my bell pull has been started. Yay, I'm so excited. So that is good progress, very good progress. This N is not quite as busy as some of the other letters. It's still got a lot of stitching, but this whole side over here is the end of the poem, so that'll go a lot quicker. And then this side over here has a bunch of leaves in it. In fact, that's why this is stopped right there. That's where the first leaf is going to be. So I will stitch the leaves, and then I'll do the rest of the N so that I don't have to count and accidentally get off. I will actually stitch the leaf that's in the way, and then where the leg of the N starts, I'll start it again and take it all the way to the bottom. So that's down the road quite a bit, but on my final letter, I'm very excited about that. So anyway, I can't wait to see what the new challenge is tomorrow, and then Saturday's our stitching meetup. So I'm pretty excited about that too. And I can't show you what I chose to take. We're doing a different kind of exchange where we bring in something we have finished stitching that needs to be fully finished, and we bring it in an envelope, and we hand it over to one of our members who's going to package it up and give you a number that matches the number of your envelope to pick yours back up. But you keep that number to yourself, because the envelopes will be distributed among those of us who are participating. And what we will do is each of us will wind up taking someone else's cross stitch home with them and fully finishing it for them any way we see fit. And then in 2 months' time, in October, because we have August and September meeting to work on it. So in October, we will bring back these finished objects, and we will give them back to their owners. We don't know who the owners are. but their number will be on their envelope. And so when you go back, you'll put all the envelopes back that have the finish in it, and people will go get their numbered envelope and they'll see how you finished it. And then you can figure out who finished whose and get pictures and that sort of thing. I think it was just a way we wanted to encourage people to get their cross stitch finished and encourage them to try new finishes, to think outside the box. And we figured if you're doing it for somebody else, you'll do it really carefully and it'll teach you to really take time and do it right. All sorts of little things, but I appreciate Teresa for coming up with the idea. She and a couple of others, I think, came up with this idea and told me about it, and we jumped right on it. So I can't wait to see how many people participate Saturday. I've got mine ready, so we will go from there. Happy stitching, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. Good evening, everyone. It is July 7th. It's Friday night, and I just wanted to come and tell you a little bit about my stitching today. I had a lovely day. I didn't have a whole lot to do. I bought groceries, went to lunch with my husband, but mostly I stitched. I'm excited to tell you that I stitched on Kringles. This was one of my Christmas pieces that I wanted to stitch on at least one day out of the month, and I picked today because I could give it a lot of time, and I'm really trying to push this one to a finish this year. And it's also one of my daily 30 prompts, and so I had to get at least 300 stitches in it. So I wanted to give it a good time today, good amount of time. The last time you saw it, I had finished this row right here, and I was going to need to start on the bottom row the next time that I picked it up. So I started out in the morning talking with my sister Stephanie, and while I was waiting on her to call, I put this in my stand and I got started on it. And I just started working on this border right in here because I had this one row stitched across the top, and so this was right where I could start it counting off these letters, and I could do that center so that I have an easy way to get my walls in here, and the outer edges will just come down from here to make my 3 rooms. And I thought that'd be great, right? So I got started today. It doesn't look like I've done a terribly lot, but I have, because I went over here and I did a row here, and I did the actual 3 columns here of stitches. All total, it was 489 stitches, and I only needed 3. So I more than met the requirement for my prompts, which I am very, very happy about. So I used it in not only the Daily 30 group, where I used it for my in recreation for Little House Needleworks, but I'm also using it in 24 hours of cross stitch, and it was for the D at the end of the word, offhanded, and it stood for a doll in Kringles because there are several dolls in this pattern. I've stitched 2 or 3 already, and there are another 3 in this room over here. There's 3 dolls in this room, and I think there's even a well, I think it's gingerbread men over here, but there's at least 3 dolls in this room. So I got started on this today. I'm so excited to get that, get past that mental block of, oh, I need to start the next row. So I've got that started now, and I felt like I got a good bit of the outlining done. I was saying that would be good retreat stitching, and it would be, but there's still a whole lot of it left to do. So that's an easy one to carry with me and stitch on it in Alabama at the end of the month, which would help me get even further ahead since I've already finished July's room. So that's my stitching update for today. I'm very excited, y'all. We have a stitching meetup tomorrow. My son is going to come and bring lunch for my friend Donna and I. and eat with us at the library, so I'm pretty excited about that. Um, Otherwise, it's just a routine weekend. We're not doing anything special this weekend. No big fireworks, no movies, nothing like that. But I think we'll have a good time anyway. We'll play games. We'll do something here at the house, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to let you get back to your stitching. I just wanted to come and record this so I didn't forget. And I may not be able to video again until after my son leaves for the weekend. My husband just got back with Coco, so we're going to watch the New Hampshire hiker and see where she is. She's ahead of him on the AT trail, and so we're kind of watching where she's going so that he can have a preview of what he's going to encounter. Well, I'll let you get back to stitching, as I said, and in the meantime, until I have something more to show with you, happy stitching. Hello everyone, welcome. It is Saturday, July 8th, and I just wanted to come by and talk to you a little bit about my stitching meetup today, my stitching for my prompt today, and a request that I have been given. First, let's talk about my stitching for the day. We went to a stitching meetup this morning, and we had 21 folks there today. It was fabulous. We brought in our smalls for our small exchange for someone to fully finish it for us. We swapped blindly, and that went really well. And I think we had 10 that participated, so I can't wait till October to see how everything is finished. I love the one that I got to finish, and I already have some creative ideas floating around in my head. So this was a recent start that I actually began as a Whip Go start. I'm doing 6 of these Sew Together series. This happens to be number 7 in her series, but it's my 4th one to do. And I started it for Whip Go, and today I took it to the library because I thought it would be a pretty good one to stitch on. And I actually put in 217 stitches in that one. I have done a sulky conversion, so I'm using my sulkies in the colors that I picked, that I liked. So this is the progress that I made there. You wouldn't be able to tell it, but I put the second color of orange in the border, and then I started this flower, and I got the vine and the first flower completed. So then I have to go up and do a second one that goes over here. And then I've got a few little house alphabet and numbers, hints, letters and numbers to finish up. But this was a great one to stitch on at the stitching retreat because it wasn't difficult to count. And although I will confess, I put this leaf in the wrong place first, and I had to frog the whole thing out and redo it, but got it taken care of, so it's okay. So that is going away, and I'm planning on taking it with me to the retreat because I think it would be easy stitching at the retreat. And now that I've stitched on it again, I have the itch to finish it. I don't know that I could finish it at the retreat, but I could definitely stitch on it. So this one's going with me to the retreat. I mentioned we had 21 ladies there today, and we did our exchange, but the other thing that we did is that my friend Donna offered a tutorial for anybody that was interested in perfecting their French knots or their colonial knots. And Donna actually brought an item that she had stitched for the brag table that had a little house, gingerbread house, and it had a removable roof that you could store a second piece into that actually hung on the house when you wanted to display it. And it was a round piece with a flower in it, and the entire round separate piece was French knots, every stitch on it, and it was that big. It was gorgeous. So that was when she really practiced and perfected her technique for French knots. And so she was there just to share what she had learned with people. And the way that we did it today was very different. She didn't set up a tutorial as in a class or anything. It was just better to have it one-on-one. And so she had Ada, and she had some really good thick floss that was the thicker DMC floss that you get, like pearl cotton, I think is what she brought. And she sat down with each person and then just showed them and helped them practice, just practice. Because that's really how you improve with that particular stitch, is just to practice. So that went really well. I know that I saw at least 3 or 4 people over there practicing with her at different times during the day. And so that was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you doing that, Donna. Thank you. So one of our attendees at our stitching meetup today, Juliana, came over and visited with me for a little bit, and we were talking, and she mentioned to me that 2 ladies that she knows personally that watch my channel, thank you ladies for doing that, I appreciate it, they had a request, and their request was for me to explain about an acrostic because they're not quite understanding what I'm talking about. And I keep talking about meeting, doing a prompt for the word hippopotamus, and they're like, what's that got to do with her stitching? What is going on? So I probably have a habit of thinking that everybody's familiar with what I'm talking about because I talk about it often. But if it's your first time tuning in, you won't have a clue what I'm talking about, possibly. So I appreciated the request to explain it a little bit and talk about how it works. And I hope that I can do a good job of that. So I want to thank Lynn and Anya for asking about that. I appreciate that. I hope you ladies are having a great day. And I hope this helps. And if you have any more questions, let me know. Put comments down below, or you can talk to Juliana and she can, she can ask me. Okay, so I get my acrostics from Facebook groups. The one that I'm working on that's actually hippopotamus for this month came from the monthly magazine challenge group. I think it's actually called Magazine Monthly Challenge Group. I always get those words mixed up. It's an open group. You can request to join, and they basically do several things in the group, but 2 of the things they do are monthly. One of them is a theme for the month, and the idea is for you to start a new start with that theme in mind, and hopefully that it would be something in a magazine or a book to help you use your old magazines, or your books, your booklets. It doesn't have to be, but that's sort of how it was formed to remind us of that, just to remind us of all those good old patterns that we have. The acrostic doesn't have to be in a magazine. It can be if you want it to be, or you can use part of it out of a magazine. But I love acrostics because they're so fluid. They're so easy to work with. You really get to establish your own pick of what you want to work with because you can be pretty creative. And especially in this group, there's really no cross-stitch police. There's really no real strong or strict guidelines. There are some groups I'm in that are, where the acrostic has to be driven by either the title of it or the designer or something like that. But for this one, it's very simple. It's whatever you want to make it. You can tie it in any way you like, and all you do is write in your tie-in, write why you chose that whip, and go for it. In the Magazine Monthly Challenge group and in the Facebook group 24 Hours of Cross Stitch, which is also an open group that you can join, they do not tell you how many stitches you have to do or how many hours you have to stitch. You can pick whichever one you want to do. Or you can set a goal for yourself. You can just say, I want to finish a page, or I want to finish this particular item on this. It's very fluid, very fluid. So for my own self, what I do is when I'm working on an acrostic in these 2 groups that don't have a minimum number of anything, hours or stitches, I will make a minimum for myself, usually, of 200 stitches. And then move on. to something else if I want to. However, if I want to use that same project for an acrostic that does have a minimum number, which I'm in one that has 300 stitches for every one of them, then I'll just do that 300 for that Facebook group, and then I get to count it for the one that doesn't have a limit. So let's just take one at a time and talk about it. In the Magazine Monthly group, this month, their acrostic is hippopotamus. So for each letter, you pick one of your whips that has a relationship to that letter somehow, whether it's the name, that letter's in the title of what you're stitching, or it's in the name of the designer or the publishing company, or it's the name of something in the object you're stitching, or it's just something that you can tie in together. So I thought it might be helpful to go down through hippopotamus and just talk about how I picked what I did, how it goes together. So the H in hippopotamus, I chose to use my spring at Hawk Run Hollow, and the H in the Hawk Run Hollow is what I'm using to tie it into the H. It's that simple. My I in hippopotamus, I chose to use autumn in the country because the word in starts with the letter I. So you get the idea. My first P, I used pandemic because the name starts with P. But my second P, I had to get more creative. So I'm working on a project called Royal Games 1, and the fabric for that is called pixie dust. So I chose to use that second P in hippopotamus for pixie dust, my fabric for Royal Games 1. And that's just what I write in the acrostic that I post in the Facebook group. For my O, I chose my Christmas Village ornament, O for ornament. And for the next P, I chose my Autumn Bell pull, P in pull. And then for my next O, I originally said I was going to use one motif in my Halloween Quaker. And that's one I was telling you about, that you sometimes just have to tie it together with a description or something that you can be creative and make it fit. And I use that one frequently, one motif, and I'll stitch a whole motif in Halloween Quaker. But today, when I went to my stitching meetup and I stitched on my letters and numbers, it's one of a series. So I used it today for my O, and instead of it being one motif, I stitched one in a series. And I did my 217 stitches in it, and I will post that to meet that prompt. I change in the month if I need to. So that one I just chose to take it today thinking it wouldn't meet a prompt at all. I stitched on it anyway, and when I got home I thought, well, I wonder if I can use this somehow. And when I saw, oh, I can do that. This is that easy group that has no restrictions, so I can do that. I used T in the Nativity for Teresa Wentzler, the designer. A is for Autumn in the Village, so A for Autumn. M is for Mansion in Haunted Mansion. And then my U is another creative one. I don't have anything that starts with U. I don't have a designer that starts with U. So instead, I'm going to use Welcoming Christmas, because I said the animals are stacked under each other. And they are. But my U is in the word under. And so that's how I'm meeting that one. And then S is going to stand for Stitcher's 12 Days. I haven't stitched on that in a while. It's one of my Christmas pieces, and I wanted to get it in this month. So I put it in there. So I hope that helps a little bit. You get the acrostic from the Facebook group. You go through your whips. You pick one that you think you can match up to each letter, and then that's what you stitch. You pick how long you're going to stitch on it or how much you want to stitch on it. You set the rules for yourself, and you just go to town on it. I have my friend Lori in New Jersey. She has a 2-day rotation. So her goal on her acrostics is a 2-day rotation. And so that way she gets to use her whips and she gets them in on their rotation for the amount of time that she likes to do it. And she just picks one for each of the letters so that she can touch that month, and it helps her get those through the rotation. I like it. Another reason is I don't necessarily do them in order. So I don't have to do the H before I do the I, before I do the P. I just do whichever one I'm in the mood to stitch. So yes, this gives me a guideline on what I'm going to pick up and stitch. But when I do it is up to me. And I put them on there because I want to stitch them. So it's a way for me to help encourage myself to pick up those whips and touch them. And that's the reason that I like it. I was talking to a friend today, a very dear friend, at our stitching meetup, and she was really big into acrostics for a little while, and just lately she began to feel that she wasn't getting enough progress in her whips, and she wants to whip down because she has too many. She would like to get down to a little more manageable number, so she is needing to put a lot more than 100 or 200 stitches, at a pop into her whips. And so she's adjusting what she's stitching, and she's going to pick a whip and she's going to work on it till she meets a goal that she has set for herself. And doing that may take longer for each one, and she may not stitch enough to meet an acrostic. So she's not doing them for a little while. That's okay. She may never come back to them. It may not fit the way she stitches. That's okay. But we were talking about it today. You stitch the way that works for you. I enjoy this. It gives me a way to assign my whips that I want to work on. It's just a clever way for me, a creative way for me. And I'm very goal driven as a person. I was in my work, and I've just carried that over in my personality into my stitching. And so for me, it's just super fun to mark one off, Oh, I got that one today. I have a goal every day to try to stitch at least one prompt a day, if I can. Sometimes I can stitch on a prompt and I don't finish it, and I have to finish it the next day. And that's okay too. But it's been great fun for me. And since I do more than one prompt, once I usually try to take either the first one I get or the longest one, and I put all my whips in there that I can possibly squeeze in. And then I look at the rest of the other 2 prompts that I do, and anytime I can use one of those same whips for one of those other acrostics, I do. Because then once I stitch it, I count it for all 3. I mark them off in all 3 because I've done the stitching. And there's separate Facebook groups, and you can do that. So I don't have to stitch it 3 times. I just have to stitch it the once. But it just makes it fun. I enjoy it. And I hope that explains it a little bit better, for Lynn and Anya to know what I'm talking about when I say I did that for my, acrostic hippopotamus. It's that acrostic in that Facebook group for the month. And then when I finish it, I stitch on other things. So anyway, that was probably more information than you ever wanted to know, but I just wanted to be clear about what I was doing and how I use it in my stitching. You can do yours differently, and that works for you. That's wonderful. Anything that gets you stitching, anything that helps you to enjoy your stitching, I'm all for it. I think that's great. Thanks for letting me explain how I use it and what it means to me. And I want to thank Carolyn and Robin in the magazine challenge group, because they put this together every year. That takes a lot of work, a lot of creativity. And I want to thank Jen Lee for working on the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch one and getting that out every year. And then there's a whole group of admins in the Daily 30 group. It is a closed group. It is a more detailed group because they give out prizes. And so they have to control how many people that they have to manage to grade everything, because it actually equates to virtual tokens that you can buy stash with. And I understand that. I hate that it's closed group because it's so much fun. But I understand totally why it has to be. And I'm just grateful to be in it. So on occasion they'll open up and they'll offer opportunity for new people to join. And so, you know, visit their website or their Facebook group on occasion and just see if they're open, you know, to taking new people, and give it a try. Anyway, I hope that's been informative. We'll see. Have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go down now and put some rolls in the oven to go with our dinner. My son's made gravy. We're having a roast beef in the crock pot today, and I'm just going to go down and do some finishing touches, and we're going to have dinner. And then I'll talk to you next time I have some stitching to share. Happy stitching, everybody.
I'm just not all there.
You're a sweet girl. You're a sweet girl. Hey, Coco.
First part of the week was okay, and then on
Coco
Wednesday,
is hanging out with me today in the craft room.
2 weeks ago,
And at this point,
I was
you can
my
see
back just kept feeling like
she
my
is
bra
standing
strap
on
was
me
sticking to it, and I thought, what is going
and
on?
giving me
So it's
kisses.
hotter than blue
She
blaze
definitely
here in
wants
Alabama,
something.
and it's miserable.
What is it that you want, baby girl?
Lord.
I think she just wants some loving.
Anyway, but I kept thinking,
Your
well, maybe I
ears
was sweating
folded
and,
back.
you know, it was sticking to
Did
my
you know
back.
that?
Well, I got to church that night.
Do you want me to
It just
fix
kept
it?
bothering me, and when we came out, I asked Jeremy to look at my
Oh, look
back.
at that
I said,
face.
"It feels
She's
like
so
my back's
sweet.
rubbed off." So
Well, let me go see
he
what
looked
she
at it and he
needs.
said, "Yeah, you got a raw spot," and it just kept
Okay,
bothering
so
me, and
as soon as I
hurting, and
said I'll see what she needs,
then I come home that afternoon.
she jumped down and went over and got in her chair, her new chair she loves so much.
You're welcome, but she